With a little less than 10 minutes remaining in the matchup between Iowa and Rutgers, the game changed. Iowa was trailing by 4 and flirting with danger of being upset by a Rutgers team that entered the game just 9-9 overall. The Hawkeyes were shooting 15 of 37 from the field up to that point, just 41%. But after a successful challenge, Iowa got the ball. From there, the Hawkeyes finished the game at 9 of 14 from the field. That's good for 64%, a dramatic turnaround in efficiency from their first 37 attempts. That Iowa got hot was not a coincidence. Ben McCollum's chess match helped Iowa escape with a 68-62 victory and get back to the 500 mark in Big Ten play. So how did Iowa do it? Let's first understand why they struggled so much in the first place. Empty side ball screens are a staple in McCollum's offense, and that means a screen is set near the sideline, sending the ball handler toward the middle of the floor with the screener rolling toward the baseline. And the empty part of empty side ball screens means that there are no offensive players in the corner closest to the ball handler, which would allow someone like Bennett Sturtz to play make out of the two-man game in a somewhat isolated part of the floor. So here's an example of Arizona doing it against Oregon.
Caleb Love was calling for it cross court. Love leading the way with his 15 points. Drives, drops it off. They score!
Here's Iowa doing it against Illinois, and you'll see Bennett Sturtz come off of that screen and swing it to Isaiah Howard, who hits a three-pointer.
By 4 minutes. Makes it a 12-point lead. Howard, yes!
With that in mind, a way to counter empty side ball screens is a ball screen defense known as ice. And the coverage is meant to force the ball handler away from the screen and toward the baseline and sideline. So not only does it neutralize the screen because the ball handler is bottling up from using it, but the defender also knows which direction the ball handler is likely going because they are so aggressively guiding it that way. So this is what Rutgers did against Iowa. Here's another example of it. If you see how the Rutgers defender is cutting off from Bennett Sturtz using that screen from Cam Maniow. And that screen was more in the middle third of the court rather than the side. This was a surprise to Ben McCollum that Rutgers iced ball screens so frequently. Iowa had prepared for it in a limited capacity because McCollum had really only seen it rarely used by Rutgers so far this season. Iowa's offense got taken out of rhythm pretty quickly, adding the fact that Bennett Sturtz was just 3 of 9 from the field and 0 of 5 from 3 during the first half. Iowa missed shots and made some sloppy turnovers. Iowa kind of shied away from the empty side ball screens. You'll see here Cale Combs just looks like he's kind of using it as a decoy to get it to Bennett Sturtz. But Iowa kind of searched for actions that would work offensively and wasn't able to find real consistency from anything until this point in the game. Iowa gets the ball after the successful coach's challenge. So there's a couple important things to understand when watching this. First is that the screen is set near the middle of the floor, making that ice screen coverage less effective because the offensive action is not near the sideline and there's more room to operate. Secondly, Cam Maniow sets what's referred to as a Varejao screen, which is commonly used in Ben McCollum's offense and meant to make ball screen defense more difficult. Basically, what a Varejao screen is flipping the side and angle of a screen. So you'll see here Cam Maniow starts on the left side of Bennett Sturtz's defender, only to actually set the screen on the right side, which impacts Rutgers' ball screen defense.
On the staff, and you could see he was kind of slow playing it to make sure the guys behind the bench who have the iPads were able to get a look at it, and it turns into 3 points for Tate Sage.
Now Iowa basically goes back to that exact same thing.
They kind of lost sight of the most important guy on the floor, and he had the ball in his hands.
Here's Maniow, hesitates. Mark trying to dig that one out. Instead, they find Howard, left block 2. Career high school steals in Plattsburgh, Missouri. Well, he's been a guy who's gone after the ball throughout his basketball career. Sturtz just slithers in to give
Iowa added some variations to this, but they'll all lead to the same thing, which is a high ball screen near the middle of the floor for Bennett Sturtz to initiate the offense. And here you'll see, for instance, Iowa uses Tate Sage as a screener to get his defender, Tariq Francis, switched on to Sturts. And that way, Iowa can put Francis, listed at just 6'1" and 180 pounds, into the ball screen action. So Iowa finds the matchup they wanted and exploited it.
Tops in the Big Ten.
Sturts will walk this one up for the Hawkeyes. 7.5 to go. 1-point game at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Anyhow hesitates, drives. Oh, what a block by Obole, and then a foul.
And then Iowa does it again, basically picking on Francis.
Hawkeyes with Banks, Koch, and Combs, each with 3 personal fouls. Maniau on the drive. Oh, nice adjustment with the...
And here you see the same thing again, just like things kind of snowballed in the wrong direction earlier on. Now you see Iowa getting in a groove offensively and really starting to get their rhythm.
Howard in the corner, Sage open 3. Oh, he loves that spot. Heat the win in pickleball. Sturts looking. Really lost that one. That just gets to the...
And Iowa just keeps running it, and it keeps working.
It's been a very competitive basketball night on the Big Ten Network. First game between Minnesota and Ohio State went to overtime. Will we see a second in 4 minutes and 45 seconds in Iowa City? Sturts trying to make sure that...
So at this point, Rutgers head coach Steve Pikiell has seen enough. Francis is moved to the bench, but Iowa keeps running it.
Maniau backed out. 10 to shoot. Here's Sturts. Into the paint. Leaning in, now fades away for 2.
Francis is back on the floor now, but he's kind of hiding, guarding Cooper Koch. It doesn't really matter, though, because Iowa scores again.
To Banks. Banks underneath.
Now Rutgers is trying to deny Bennett Sturts of getting the ball. So Tate Sage brings it up, and then to get free, Bennett Sturts just sets a screen for Sage and is able to get the ball back and just run the action again.
61-57. 2:20 to go for the Hawkeyes and Scarlet Knights.
The common foul will send Iowa for 2 shots here as they are in the double bonus.
Sturts kicks it, Sage, left corner. This time. Here's Maniau. Back to Sturts with 12 to shoot. Sturts gets past Mark. Drive all the way and counted in the foul.
What a savvy play by...
So Iowa's offensive resurgence late in the game against Rutgers did not just happen by chance. It was an intentional and well-executed strategy.
Yeah, it just stalled our flow a little bit. Stalled us. You know, we couldn't get to the next action. And then what happens is you start overcalling the game, meaning you start overcalling plays. And when you overcall plays, it actually compounds your mistakes, but you're trying to search for something that works. Search, finally found something, and then we just ran that the rest of the game. Literally the same thing over and over and over. It was about the 10-minute mark, probably somewhere in that range, where we just went to the same top ball and we were able to get downhill. Maybe that's what we do against a team that ices, and we'll have a better plan for it. And that's on me. You know, they hadn't shown ice yet. They showed it on one possession on one Iverson. They showed ice, so we had a plan for that. But they didn't show ice for the entire game, and so just got to be better.